recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We all saw that.
Would you call the roll when you get a chance, Augie? Sorry I pulled the trigger on you and didn't tell you.
Yeah, I'll be glad to in just a second.
Bruner.
Here.
Lorenzen.
Here.
Farnham.
Here.
Chittick.
Here.
Luddington.
Here.
Patrick.
Here.
Voigt.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum. I'd like to welcome everybody here to this special meeting. We've had the roll call. This is the portion where we ask for public comment. We have a podium up there. We ask that you just identify yourself by name. And we ask you, our rule is 5 minutes to discuss anything that you wish to talk to us about. So, is there anybody that has public comment that would like to take advantage of this? Jill?
Good morning, I'm Jill Mattingly. My husband and I own the Bloomfield Barn. I'm not really here to talk about our business this morning, but really to be a voice for the small business owners who were here last week. A lot of them were just watching at home and are anxiously waiting for some sort of guidance. I understand that our board is not going to do the exact same kind of thing that other county boards have done. I think that's what the citizens expect. I think it's what the small business owners that were here last week expect. And so I would just hope that you would bear that in mind and understand that that's kind of the word on the street, and the feeling is that they're waiting to have some sort of more Clark County-esque type calendar with when we can do what. The idea that I certainly appreciate the approach of saying you did not shut businesses down, and therefore, since you didn't have the right to shut them down, neither did the governor, but that's my personal opinion, that you're not going to be the ones to tell them to open back up. That every man for themselves kind of approach works for some of us. I feel competent to be able to make that decision for our business, but there are a lot of folks who aren't similarly situated to that. And telling them, call your insurer, call your lawyer, they can maybe call their insurer, they're probably gonna get a kind of standard answer that's not gonna get them anywhere. Most of them don't have a lawyer on retainer, a lot of them can't afford a lawyer, and a lot of them are looking to this entity because other counties, their citizens have been able to do that, and so they're looking here for guidance. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody appreciated that that's kind of what's going on. It's almost interesting, I think, for some of us to be able to sit back and read legal opinions and administrative rules and watch what's happening with committees and opinions and arguments and sort through it all. But to a lot of people, it's just a legal morass that they can't sort through and feel hamstrung by. They feel bullied and threatened and intimidated by our governor. They don't know where they stand. They don't know what to do. And when they see other counties being able to look to their county board, I think they're doing the same thing here and hoping that out of today's special meeting, they would be getting that kind of guidance. So I understand that you're going to discuss later in the meeting how perhaps this county is doing things a little differently than our neighbors to the south or the north. But just bear in mind when you do that, that our citizens are looking to you guys for some statement that has the imprimatur of this board, what they see, I think correctly, as the vanguard of their rights and their voice in the state. So don't let them down. They need your words of wisdom, your support, and something more than every man for himself, because every man is not similarly situated. So that's all I have to say, and I will be interested to hear how this is going to unfold, and certainly willing to continue to try to help people informally, but while they can call me and ask me questions, they want to hear it from the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Jeff,
We really don't have a discussion now, but you're welcome. We'll talk about the health department later, but, okay, all right? You can go ahead and speak if you want as a private citizen, I mean,
well, I was gonna make a comment.
no,
about-
go ahead, Dan, what the heck?
Okay, there's a business in town that did not close when they were supposed to. And we discussed this morning at the health department, and the police actually went down to the business and told them they had to close. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not, what we can do and what we can't do.
Okay, let me point out that that business, we originally asked them to close, okay? They closed. This was like 6 weeks ago. They opened again on Thursday, and they are still open.
Right.
But I'll explain that particular issue in a little
I
bit.
appreciate it, I just got the gist of it, so.
That's fine, and but I wanna make
I
sure.
just kind of answered her that there's only certain things we can do as a board.
I understand. We'll get into that here in a little bit.
Okay.
Anybody else have a public comment? Hearing none, I'm gonna take it a little bit out of order so we can handle some of the things that are gonna be rather, not quick, but at least we can dispatch them and then we can, reduce the population in here if they would. Tom, I'm gonna take up the airport selection of the, what we're gonna do. We have to pick a airport engineer for, what is it, 5 years?
5-year period.
Okay, would you give us a brief description of what we're doing?
Yes, our last agreement expired in December of 19. We went through the IDOT process, which is to select a new consultant. We did that by advertising on the IDOT website, which gives any interested firms the opportunity to respond. We did receive 2 applications, one from Knight Engineering and Architects of Bolingbrook, and our current consultant, Hanson Professional Services. I have the brochures or the application brochures from each company, if anybody'd like to see those. And that's about all I can tell you right now.
Am I correct in the advertisement and the bids do not actually discuss fees or services, or fees for services, but simply advertise what they're capable of doing?
Yes.
Is that
And
correct?
the state requires us to have some firm on a non-fiduciary retainer.
Okay. So, my opinion, and you want to talk about this, Derek, is that we're going to
I'm more than happy
retain.
to. Yeah, I mean, we've had a long-standing relationship with Hanson, we've been pleased with their work. I have no reason to change midstream, we're still in the process of having things bid, so, with all information available, I don't know if now's the time, but I move to accept Hanson's bid, or
Okay.
Hanson's, proposal.
Proposal. Do I hear a second? Okay. We have a motion, a second. Carl, do you have a question?
I was gonna second.
Okay, all right. So you know who did the first and the seconding? Is there any further discussion of retaining Hanson and Associates for the next 5 years for the airport engineer? Hearing none, Augie, would you call the roll?
Brunner,
Yes.
Lorenzen,
Yes.
Farnham,
Yes.
Chittick,
Yes.
Ludington,
Yes.
and Patrick.
Yes.
Tom, thank you for your time.
You are welcome.
Okay, the next thing I want to move to is number 7, resolution of support to rebuild America Fast Track Public Infrastructure Program. There's a $50 million program as it started off. It got split into $25 million grant cycles for 2 of them. One of the $25 million is for a fast track, shovel-ready project. And given that and this is for the roof and repairs and permanent structure repairs to the roof of the courthouse. To that end, we talked to Arnie Duncan, and Josh has been helping me with this, and he's here to clarify anything that I mess up, so jump in there, Josh. But basically, it's a state project we've got to have it ready by the 15th of June, the fast track, and the other one's due, what, 30 days later or something like that?
It's the end of June, I think.
Okay, 15. So, we want to go on record as a board that we would like to apply for, I think it's 1.35? What are we applying?
That's pretty close.
That's pretty close. And now, that is all for construction. That doesn't give us any prep, it doesn't pay any engineering. So we need to make sure that if you approve this, you understand that at some point, if we get the big grant, that we're going to have to shell out some money for the engineering and any architectural work. And it could cost up to 150 grand, but we get it fixed, okay? There may be other ways that we can improve our stead on this, but I'd rather tell you the worst. It looks like we have another source of grant money that's gonna come to us, and I can't officially say anything about it because that's gonna be announced by another source. And I don't mean to be mysterious, but it's gonna offer us some money also for the courthouse. So what we're asking you to do is support anything that we can do grant-wise to solve our problem with the courthouse roof. Questions? Have I said that halfway? Well
And
then,
the,
go ahead, John.
the engineering firm that you're listing here on the resolution,
The second,
that's who did the original survey and everything on the
Yes.
roof and,
that's Arnie Johnson,
okay,
and he's the one that, and
yeah, I
Andy may
know
want
Arnie, I just didn't realize the name of the firm he was with, to be honest.
and he's done a lot of work. He helped a great deal, and one of the reasons that we have such a great opportunity here with him is because of the spade work Andy did,
Yeah,
okay?
he's a Paris boy, he went to school here, so.
Yeah,
He's my next door neighbor.
Was he-
There you go.
yeah, I
That's
just
good.
didn't realize the name of the firm, that's what
That's
threw
good.
me on it.
He does do a good job.
You have any questions on it?
No, I mean, we have an engineering report that we had done in 17, I believe.
Yes.
And they went and did some more Creeding roofing, did some work,
In fact, we actually, yeah, we did some,
patching, some, yeah, it was about $25,000 worth of work they did, just to kind of patch and keep the roof from leaking at that point. And we're approaching the time where we gotta do something. So-
and we are approaching the, whatever, there's no guarantee we'll get the grant or that we get the whole thing. It may be, and we're going to show stages, right? So that if they say, no, we can only give you this amount, then we can cover these important stages, okay? So that's how we're gonna approach it. So is there a motion to adopt this resolution, to support this endeavor?
I'll move.
John moves, Dan seconds. Yes, Carl?
We're not committed to any funds for doing anything unless we get the grant.
Chances are, there's going to be a commitment of some funds. I'm guessing maybe 6, does that sound right?
That sounds about right.
No more than 6 grand. But, what I'm telling you, unless we
Right.
just screw it up,
Yep.
we're gonna get funds, okay?
All right.
All right? And I don't, however, I don't wanna have them pick up the newspaper, no offense, and go, well, I told him not to say that, and then, we don't get the funds, cause, so I'm trying to be as forthright as I can and then go from there. Any other questions? Okay, this is a great opportunity, I believe, and, we could be pretty lucky here. Of course, all the stars have to line up, but, okay? Can you call the roll then, Augie?
Yes, sir. Brunner,
Yes.
Lorenzen.
Yes.
Farnham,
Yes.
Chittick,
Yes,
Luddington,
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
It does carry, thank you. Then we go on to number 8, which goes hand in hand with that, and that's to ask Arnie and his company to help us, and that contract is not to exceed 39, but with the understanding that we'll only spend what's necessary to the point. It does another thing for us, it gets him on board and shows a consistent commitment to the roof to the department that's overseeing the fast track and the other program, okay? So, motion to approve authorizing the chairman to sign professional services agreement. Andy? John? Andy and John. Any further questions? All those in, oh, I'm sorry. Would you call the roll, please?
Brunner,
Yes.
Lorenzen.
Yes.
Farnum.
Yes.
Chittick.
Yes.
Luddington.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
It does carry. Thank you, gentlemen. You guys involved with that are welcome to, and we appreciate the work that you've done. Josh, thank you.
You really picked a good day to vote on the roof restoration project.
Everything's timing. Everything's timing. Okay, the next item we'll address is the adopt ordinance establishing special services area number 2. Robert, you got the floor, buddy.
Yes, well, I'm here today for the ordinance proposing the establishment of Edgar County Special Service Area Number 2 and providing for a public hearing and other procedures in connection therewith. So, each of the governing bodies have passed a resolution, at least all of the governing bodies which will be in the special service area have passed a resolution in favor of a special service area for emergency ambulance service, which could be found in Exhibit A of the ordinance. The citizenry voted in favor of a referendum on March the 17th, 2020, evidencing an interest in establishing a special service area for emergency ambulance service, which can be found in Exhibit B. And the territory which will be encompassed in the special service area can be found in Exhibit C. That territory will be the townships of Brulitz Creek, Edgar, Prairie, Ross, Shiloh, and Young America. And within that area will be included the communities of Chrisman, Hume, and Metcalf. And the permanent tax index number of each parcel located within the special service area will be found in Exhibit D of the ordinance. And the maximum rate of taxes to be extended against all property within the special service area shall be 20 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. And the proposed amount of the tax levy for emergency ambulance service for the initial year for which taxes will be levied within the special service area shall be $249,602.96. And so how the process is going to work is if the county board votes in favor of this ordinance today, you will be able to set the public hearing, which the public hearing will be held here at the county courthouse, and the county board will hear out any and all objections to the special service area. And so that public hearing would, if you did vote in favor of this ordinance today, you would be able to set the public hearing at 60 days at the closest. So it has to be held in 60 days or more. So 60 days from today would be July the 19th, which is actually a Sunday, so that probably would not work. July the 20th is a Monday, of course, so that's about when we would be looking for it, perhaps sometime during that week to have the public hearing. And that in the ordinance, as you can see, that is the one blank which has to be filled out by the county board. It leaves open which is the day and the time and the location of the public hearing. And then that will also have to be filled in on the notice of hearing, which you can see on the next page.
Do you have we have with us here the head of the current ambulance board. I think everybody knows Kevin. Did you have a proposed date that you wanted the board to do it, or do we need to?
We need to we need to keep moving as fast as we can, so he's saying 61 days, so that would suit me fine.
Do you wanna have it in the evening so that everybody can,
I would think that would be, what, 7 o'clock, or I don't, what would be a good time?
okay, well, we're limited, of course, we don't know what things are gonna be like here. Are we restricted to a public venue? And I'm just asking, I'm not trying to be difficult, but, I mean, the bank, we've had a special meeting or a study session at the bank across the street, and that's a rather large room that if we needed to, we could spread out in. Is that acceptable?
Is there a place at Chrisman for the northern part of that?
Yes, yes, there is. We've got the corner. I'm sorry, what?
We've had our last couple of meetings at the Legion, there was quite a bit of room in there.
The corner has offered, and I forgot all about that, thank you, Carl. The, what used to be the Colonial Kitchen has the west half of that whole thing would be available to have the meeting in there.
Turn your ringer off, Jeff.
That'd be fine with me.
It's not mine.
Oh, I know.
Hey, first time in 30 years.
Usually is.
You're out of order, Derek.
That'll be fine with me, Jeff.
Well, I mean, do we have that kind of latitude within that to move it to a different location if we pass this ordinance?
I believe that if you wanted to, we could do that, but it's just that we'll have to
Amend?
the ordinance that I prepared.
We can vote on-
What do you think, Carl?
I was thinking, make it
I
more
think-
convenient for the north, but
I think that'd be
we
fine.
can just,
We can just scratch it out and initial it, can't we? I mean, it doesn't have to, I've seen other ordinances over the years and things have got changed and, we could have it on 7 o'clock Monday night on July, what did you say, 20th?
Yeah, July 20th.
At 7 o'clock. At, what's called the American Tap, is what it's called, okay?
Did you check them first, or you think it's fine? They're fine?
They're fine, because I asked them
Okay.
when this was coming up if they'd let us do it there. And I think they want, well, it's not a problem, I can get it, I think they want $100 to do it. So, it's not a public room, it's $100 and, they got it, that covers the cleaning and,
Yeah, if it's not a problem to scratch it out, or I think it'd be nicer to have it up there someplace. I mean,
Yeah.
that just makes sense.
it would be more convenient than asking everybody to come down here when it covers those those places up north. So can you scratch that in, or Augie, or
Yeah.
somebody scratch that in?
We'll scratch it in, and I
So-
would suggest that those that made the motion would initial that scratch.
Oh, absolutely.
And what was the name of it again? American Tap?
American Tap is the name of the place. And they have a rather large, it's the old dining room, if you've all been in there. It's pretty good. It's not huge, but it's certainly probably 3 times bigger than this, okay? Or twice as big as the courtroom upstairs, so, and they've got enough chairs, so.
Open bar.
Well, no pun intended, but let's hope everything's more open then than it is now.
Open bars.
So it's July, the 20th day of July, 7 o'clock at American Tap. You can say community room or conference room or whatever, okay?
Okay.
And then the same thing would be said here. Notice of public hearing. And I will call them immediately after this to make sure.
Question?
Yes, sir.
So eventually our job as a board would be to, develop the specs and put the, out on bid?
That comes after 60
So we have
days
to-
after
we
the
have to do
public hearing.
specs too.
Right.
Okay.
We would set up a committee, which would be represented by people from the north, and maybe a member or two of this board.
Okay.
But, like Kevin and maybe there's some other folks that would like to serve on that board up there, or that committee, and to draw up the specifications, then the state's attorney would review it, make sure that it meets all the qualifications, and then we'd advertise for bids. And we'd have to get on that because we need to know how much, or we could just, well, we'll talk about the in the weeds here later on. But we do have to do a levy by November, so that we have something to pay them with and know what the specifications are, okay? As far as what they're gonna put in.
Yeah, can I ask a nitpicky question, which
Please.
maybe we ought to have Don here for, but the maximum rate of the levy is 20 cents per hundred of the assessed valuation.
Of those areas.
Right,
Yes.
exactly, and you're proposing for the first year roughly 250,000.
Yes.
How does that fall into the 20 cents? Is that significantly lower, close to 20 cents per hundred? I'm just thinking of future tax rates, you know, what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, that number that I have there, the roughly $250,000 is based off of the calculations that I did of the 20 cents per $100 of the assessed
Okay,
valuation.
so that is roughly the 20 cents. that
Dina
you're gonna-
did that.
Yeah,
Right, so you're gonna levy at the highest amount the first year to get it rolling, and then hopefully if you get a good bid, it can come down and
yes,
evaluate. Okay,
Correct.
that's fine, I just was
It could
kinda
be
curious
more,
how the
but-
numbers
Yeah.
came up.
It could be more, right?
Can't be
Based on
It
assessed
can't be more.
valuation.
No,
Well,
it can't,
the
well,
valuation goes up.
yeah, if the evaluation
Right,
goes
that's what I
up,
meant,
which I wouldn't count on that with farm ground in the next year, but.
Other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So we gotta decide who is going to actually mail out all of those notices. County board?
I was
is-
gonna ask that.
It
but I-
probably would, if you,
No, that's fine.
yeah.
I mean, we don't have the funds levied for that. I assume that the Northern Edgar County Ambulance Service would,
Robert and Jeremy and I talked, and we decided that each person that's involved in this will mail theirs out. Like me from Shiloh, we will mail everything out for Shiloh. Kristen will do theirs.
you mean the public entities from Shiloh? In other words, the township board or the city or whatever?
We will get a mail, we'll put it that way.
Okay.
It won't be on the county board.
Augie will give you the, or Dina will give you the lists of, and then the labels will be generated. If Augie does them, he can generate labels, right?
Yeah, we can get labels generated. Be most likely to be the treasurer's office or.
That's,
super-
well, at any
coordinated.
rate, we
Yeah.
can. Now, there'll be a nominal cost there.
Here's what that all is, those exhibits, and those are the parcels. Okay, that's why, is a lot of it, we need to decide who's gonna do
Yeah,
that.
no, we'll take care of that.
Could you reflect that in this discussion?
Absolutely.
Okay, in the minutes? Okay. Robert, do you have anything else to add?
No, I just wanna make sure that, the portions, or the notice of hearing and everything, that all gets filled out with the, like crossing it out and putting the location in and everything, and.
I just thought of one thing. Are we rushing it on the 20th? They have to, you guys have to get all these notices out 60 days in advance, right?
No, it has to be, the notices have to get to everybody, or we have to mail them out at least 10 days. in
Oh,
advance.
okay. I just wanted to double check. I know we have to put something in that sets, what do we have to do with the notice?
Today sets the 60-day clock.
Okay. Do we have to advertise that somehow?
That will be published in a newspaper of general circulation in Edgar County, so
So,
15, that has to be done 15 days before the hearing.
okay. I just want to make sure everything, we weren't missing something. Okay. Okay. A motion to approve the resolution.
So moved, as amended.
Derek moves.
Second.
Dan seconds. Further questions? Augie, call the roll.
All right.
I'll vote too.
Brunner,
Yes.
Lorenzen,
Yes.
Farnham,
Yes.
Chittick,
Yes,
Ludington,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes. Okay, it does carry unanimously. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. You're welcome to stay, but if you guys got a boogie, I understand, and that leaves us a little better shape distancing.
I just want to take a chance to thank you guys, because I know it's been a lot of work for us, and it's been a lot of work for you. And without this, we can't function, so big thanks to all you guys.
well, and I thank you guys for kind of taking the lead on it, because, you know, it's, You know what's going on, we don't, so.
It's been,
Just say yes or no.
Thank you, Kevin,
thank you.
and, we'll talk.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've covered all the items on the agenda except the update on COVID. Dan, did you you had will somebody close that door, please?
John, you're here for a reason.
Make yourself
Find
useful.
something you can handle.
Quit blowing that horn so-
Yes, did you have something you wanted to address before we go to the last part of the meeting?
Do I?
Do you have anything you wanted to
I do
address?
not, I'm here to answer any questions you guys have about EMS or Horizon Health, so.
Okay. I wanted to point out that we still have no positive cases in the county as of this morning. Okay? We've got 5 or 6 pendings and 304 negatives. Okay, just to point out that. Okay, Dan, you had a public health meeting this morning. Did you want to discuss any and all things that might relate to this?
Couple things. One is, you mentioned a while ago about you were sort of enlightened on the bar that had opened up and got closed down. So that kind of indicates that May the 29th is supposed to be phase 3, but still that will not allow barber shops or salons or bars or restaurants to be open. So am I correct?
Yeah, that's
To go in
nice.
and set.
Till
Phase 3 is
June 26th.
when?
June 26th is when
June.
restaurants are supposed to.
Okay.
If phase 3, if the governor,
Yeah,
It keeps it that way.
Yeah, if he doesn't change his mind.
Now, there's some things happening today. The Car Committee is meeting this morning at 10:30.
Right.
And they are going to decide whether the governor's rules, the new rules that he put out Friday and Monday, will stand. And we'll know something about that later. Additionally, there is a injunction being filed as we speak, no matter which way that goes, to enjoin that from taking effect, if they vote to allow the governor's rules to go forward. Yes, Jill?
Just to clarify that a little bit, the J-CAR Committee, the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, is meeting this morning. All they're doing, well, they're doing a regular agenda, but the item that we all care about is whether or not the emergency rules that go into effect when they're promulgated, so they are already.
They are in effect, yes.
Whether those are gonna be suspended or not.
Right.
Takes a supermajority of that committee to suspend them.
8 out of the 12.
Right, so all that that's gonna do, if they are suspended, it would be pending legislative action. But that doesn't, there's 2 parallel tracks. You've got the governor's executive orders, and then you've got these health department rules that J-CAR is discussing today, which basically mimic the executive order. I think they were forced into doing that by one of the lawsuits that said the governor doesn't have the power to do this, only the health department does. So the health department came along and the state health department and mimicked what the executive orders had said. So even if J-CAR were to suspend those newly promulgated emergency rules pending legislative action, and even if the injunctive relief that's being sought would stop all that, the executive order still sits there, and we're waiting for a direct legal challenge to the governor's authority under the executive order to do this whole phase 3, phase 4 thing.
That's what I was getting at, and that happens on Friday. Part of it, that,
God willing.
yes. So that's where we set legally. I mean, as far as what the state is doing. Do you have anything, are there any particular issues? I had a call from Ollie Smith this morning on my way down here, and he didn't really want to come to the meeting, but he told me in essence what they have done, and I've got his permission to tell you. And basically what he said was the health department's stance on the issue of business in this community is that if the individual business decides to open, the health department will do everything they can in their power to assist them to safely to maintain their business and open it in a safe manner for themselves, their employees, and for their patrons. Additionally, any business that opens and disregards disregards any of the provisions that everybody thinks are reasonable, for example, distancing, sanitizing, masks for their employees, and it goes on, will be challenged. And will not, somehow, they'll either come into regulations and do what's appropriate to protect their employees and themselves and their patrons, and they should be aware of that. So that's the health department's stance on it.
The problem is, and I think the health department's taking a lot of flack that they really don't deserve, because they can only do certain things. And people think, well, they have a right to open up a business, close a business. They don't. All their job is to go in and inspect the business to be sure it meets the qualifications to, like the distancing and the mask and all that. But they're taking a beating because people think they have more authority than what they actually have. They can only do what the governor says. So if you read Facebook, they took a beating on Facebook pretty bad last couple of weeks, and they don't deserve it. I mean, she's doing the best job she can do.
I think you're correct. I think they are going around, but they are getting complaints.
Right. All
Whether
the
it be,
rest of it's inspected. Right.
you can have a good business that opens, just decided to open, following all the rules, and somebody else that's in the same business but hasn't opened calls and said, well, that's not fair, I'm not open, and they're open. So they call, and the health department goes in,
Right.
and they evaluate what they're doing, and they inform them that, you're obviously at this point not following the governor's edicts, but you are doing the following. We need to let you know that, or we suggest that you're doing 5 of the 6, and I'm just making 6 up, okay? And you need to do that 6th one, okay? So, or help them in guidance, or getting them the material they need, or give them the training they need, okay? So that's how Ollie said that the meeting went.
So,
Go ahead.
given that, would it be beneficial to the health department if we went ahead and passed a resolution opening up similar to Clark County or whoever?
We did that, didn't we?
No.
Thought we did. Okay.
Well, and this is where we're gonna have trouble.
Right.
Whatever some of these other counties, and there's not that many that have done it, offers no protection from the government of Illinois, from the health department, from the state police, offers them no protection. It actually may offer them false protection
Right.
and a false sense of security. We can't tell the governor and the state police not to come in here and close down a business that opened up because we said it was so, or the Clark County that said it was so, or Effingham, or Peoria. Because you may not agree, but that's what a state's attorney tells us.
I'm just struck by the fact that we are sitting here talking about needing protection from our own government.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Up is down and down is up. It's the Ronald Reagan quote that the scariest word you can hear is, I'm from the government, I'm here to help you. I mean, it's out of control. They're supposed to be protecting not just the public health, but protecting our rights and not eroding our rights. But meanwhile, the problem, I think, for this board and for the citizens of Edgar County is that it's such a morass. They need a clear statement. They need messaging, and I know it's almost impossible to do.
We can't do it.
But for
According to the
instance,
state's
with what
attorney.
you're saying with the health department today, if there's messaging that lets the people know, particularly the people that run businesses, that the health department wants to work with you as your ally to help you through this and communicate better what is and isn't expected, that's what people need. And I'm not saying that it needs to be the calendar like Clark County, but
Well, I would suggest, and I'm sorry, I don't think, they said it in a public meeting this morning. They said everything that I've said. So I would
how
encourage,
are the citizens to learn about that?
well,
Do you get the Nyron calls?
no, I'm gonna give her
Nyron
one.
calls?
I've got it here. I've got it.
Okay.
I would ask the media, whoever's listening, that they interview Ollie Smith and get Ollie Smith to Because I don't know whether there was anybody from the media this morning
Yeah,
there at
well-
7 o'clock.
The watchdogs were there and filmed the whole meeting, so if there's some way you can get on the
Well,
website and see.
we need,
It
we
was
need,
it was filmed.
I know, but we need several different, I mean, just because it's kind of like the old expression, you tell somebody once or twice, doesn't mean anything. You gotta tell them 100 times from 100 different sources. But, you know, I wish that yes, Carl.
I agree with you. I talked to a business owner 2 days ago. She said that the health department told her that they could take their license. I said, well, we don't need that. We need the health department to come and work with you, tell you exactly how you can go about being safe for the public. And I talked to Jeff last night. We need to somehow get that relayed on to the public, but that's what the health department is here to work with you, help you, and we encourage that, and I'm all for that. Me as a business owner, I would do whatever was safe, and I would be opening up. I don't care what the governor says, I would be doing that.
If you got what was said to me on the phone, and it was a departure from anything that I'd heard before.
Well, I've got the old one and the new one.
Okay.
I thought it would be, they've changed their directions.
The NIRN calls come out when you, basically if you have a water issue or a boil order or things, and it's called a NIRN call from the health department, and they come out and tell you, and I've gotten several of them along the way. Because honestly, no one's ever given me something that said, you gotta shut down. I mean, no one's ever given me a paper that says, you gotta shut down.
So this is how they're promulgating information to business owners that are
business.
tied to the
Yeah,
health department, is this?
the problem I've got with this one though, I may have to have somebody work it.
No, health
It's got a
department can't
particular,
shut you down
excuse me, Dan.
unless you.
It's got a particular business on it, and they do send them out
Right.
to the businesses, and I don't want,
So I just get a phone. I don't get a copy in the mail.
yeah. Well, this one reads, the old one basically said, executive order, prohibits restaurants from offering, on-site consumption of food. This order is in effect, until May 31st, which is different than the Illinois Department of Public Health will continue to follow Edgar County, Public Health Department will follow all directives from the.
Can I have Augie make copies of what they gave this morning at the health department?
Sure.
Which might explain,
Yeah,
What
or well,
we're
if you
talking-
take it over the hall and have them,
yeah.
Is it okay if we do it after the meeting, Dan, or do you need it now?
Well, I'd like for them to see it now. If
well,
you-
we'll
if
just,
you
we'll
would.
just hold up the meeting for a minute, okay?
This is what they gave the business.
Okay, is this similar to this one here, Dan? At any rate, the old one basically said, you know,
No,
restaurants,
This is different. This is different.
you mean this verbiage down here? That's what was actually sent out to a
This
business.
is different from, this is what they gave the bar.
Oh, no, we cannot hand that out.
Oh, you can't?
No, you cannot hand that one out. That is violating people's rights.
Well, it doesn't have a name on it. There's no name on it. It doesn't give the name of the establishment.
So do you know, as those messages go out, is that something that the Edgar County Health Department is actually producing, or are they just
Yes,
forwarding on
Marissa.
by obligation, or
Well,
what?
no, they are producing it.
So they can put whatever out they choose?
Basically, they can,
So
they cannot close down the business.
I got that. So my question is, since it seems to be we have a messaging problem as it pertains to our health
We do have
department, I'm
a
wondering
big problem with
if
messaging, right?
we can put something out via all means that we have at our disposal, i.e. the
Well,
paper,
A good,
and also,
Right.
just give me a second.
a good example this morning, at the meeting we had, nobody knows what went on at the meeting. I mean, we made a lot of comments, we discussed a lot of things. I mean, nobody knows
True.
what we talked about.
So what we can do, if that's the case, is as a health department, put out a broadcast via that system
Right, would help.
that more clearly illuminates what the position is,
True.
leave no question. as to
Okay,
what-
that's what you're gonna pass out to any business that's having problems,
Right,
not just
right.
to that bar.
Right, there's no
Okay.
name of
Well, anyway, basically, what they were saying was you can't serve food. Now what they're saying is, the governor's order, but only consumption off premises. Through such means as, in-house, pickup, carry out, drive-through. Let's see, if you choose to operate outside of these orders, please use the following safety precautions. Then it lists out the safety precautions now. And that's what they discussed this morning.
Can I ask a question on that? And with the health department, I know that's for all the restaurants. What about beauty shops? What about the boutique stores? You know, like the clothing store over on the other side of the square, I assume they don't have any health department contact and wouldn't be on the mailing list from them.
Well, and I'm getting clarification on that, John,
Okay.
because an issue's come up with that.
What,
Go ahead.
my question is, why are they shut down? Who shut them down?
Well, and that's, I don't wanna get it, it's
Nobody
a,
shut them down, did they? So
it's
if a
a,
restaurant opens up right now, Dan says they have no authority to shut them down, so they're not gonna be on their doorstep. I get that point. The police aren't gonna come up, shut them down, are they?
what's gonna happen?
But these people are scared.
You say
that's why.
Like, if you have a restaurant down on the square,
I'll be able to-
and I've got, you're open, you're doing all your things that you're supposed to be doing, and I've got a restaurant over here, or I'm a citizen and walk by and see you open. So I could either call the health department if it's during the day, or if it's at night, or I feel like it, I'd call the police department or the sheriff's department. Depending on what you say, they may go over and check out the premises and not do a written report, or they would write it down for themselves, but they wouldn't give you warning. Then they would let the health department know what they found, and then the health department might make a visit to see what's going on.
From what Dan says, I wouldn't be concerned about the health department, because all they're gonna do is tell you the right way to do it, and that's a good thing, that's not bad.
That's right. But if they weren't doing it right through these
Then
visits,
they should be taking care of it.
then it would kick it up the ladder. Then
should
it's
be
up to
anyway.
the state's attorney to decide whether he wants to do anything about it. And even the state's attorney said that before he did anything, he would send them a letter and describe the deficiencies and say, this is what could happen if they're not corrected.
Well, it sounds to me like they could just open up if they did things the proper way.
Is that, I think,
Handle food correctly and.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be doing that anyway.
Right, that's
They
their
don't
job,
know
they were
that.
inspected.
I know they don't know it, but
But
we
the
can't,
issue with problem is communication, right?
Well, in this day and age, I think it's gotta be something clickable. They have to be able to go someplace online or
Yeah.
maybe the newspaper.
you're not gonna
They
pass
have to
it
be
out.
able to read it in black and white and believe it. And with so much
I get all yours,
misinformation,
yes.
that's why I was saying
Yes.
something needs to be issued as
Thank you. I
reluctant
don't
as
know
you may
whether they
be,
did or not.
that has the imprimatur
I'm
of the
trying to-
board. This came from the county
doing a
board,
good
and
job.
here's the facts, Jack, that you can rely on.
The
Because
setting
they
on it.
just have no idea, and they are very
Did
afraid.
they put them together?
that's all right. But the issue is still, our state's attorney says that we do not have the authority, nor is it proper for us to address this issue. And we can't. I think the health department, what they put out would be most instructive, and that's where the media needs to go to, and I'm directing them there, so that they could either interview the director or the chairman of the board and find out what the official stance that they made public was. And that would be very instructive.
So that stance that was published, did you see that via that conduit you're talking about?
Say that again.
This
I've got
stance-
nothing written from anyone. I've got neither.
They get verbals or this.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So did you get a NIRA call this morning as
No,
it pertains to?
about last Friday I got one.
Okay.
Last Friday.
And I bring me one of those, John, because I
I'm
think
gonna-
it's important to read the
No, that's a
entire
different
thing,
one.
This is one we got some.
because it's a departure from anything that I've gotten I've heard before, and actually, this, the last one I got, is exactly, not, maybe not exactly, but very, very close to what every other county, like Wayne County, that, they tried to shut that restaurant down there. The state's attorney said that he wasn't presenting any danger by opening, and they let him open.
This is
But
what they're
the
telling
statement
the
was the same
restaurants,
for their county.
So that place opened up, we're still open.
This is what they told you on the phone. That's what they're gonna tell you if you're in violation.
Yes, this is exactly, the governor's executive order states that restaurants and other facilities may prepare and serve food, but only for consumption off premise, through such means as in-house delivery, third-party delivery, drive-through, curbside pickup, and carry-out. This is in effect until May 31st, and I want, that's not correct, because restaurants is June 26th. But going on, it says, if you choose to operate outside of these orders, please use the following safety precautions, which include social distancing and use of masks or face coverings. And that's a departure from anything I've heard from them at that point.
Please don't use her name.
I'm not saying anything different.
So, and I think every other health department that I've read online, it's almost identical to that statement right there, the ones that have allowed, now I won't say allowed, people have opened in those counties. They all say that same thing, they mention the governor's order, but then at the end, they say that if you choose to, that's their statement.
And there's been a lot of talk to and from Ollie and me and other sources and Janet and me in order for them to feel comfortable to do that. Okay, so.
Even, you know, not to beat a point, there's a heck of a lot of businesses that are closed down besides restaurants.
Right.
And they're getting no communication on this whatsoever. And that's where, I mean, I kind of do see the merit of issuing something as a county board, and we can make it clear that we can't overstep the governor, and if the state decides to trump anything we do,
The issue
we're out
that
of hand. But
somewhere I got interrupted.
Liability.
One of the issues that I talked to Ollie about and was just that issue. That there are phone calls being made to the health department from regular businesses.
Right.
And they are not being instructed, and I don't know whether it's a personnel issue or what it is, but they're not being told, or haven't been told until this point, that it's the same thing that the restaurants, they should be told exactly the same thing. Ollie was gonna check on that and find out, because the Illinois Health Department, whatever it's called, Illinois, yeah, is offering the health department edicts about how to handle all businesses and asking them, meaning the state is asking the local health departments to be their, what would you say, advocate for making sure that all businesses are finding out and what the governor's edicts or rules are, and making sure that local businesses are following them. And Ollie said he didn't agree with that, and we should be handling all businesses the same way. But I haven't heard back from him at this point, okay? Whoever calls him from the media or whatever and talks to him may have some clarification on that, because I've heard issues where people have said to me and called me and said, well, I called down there and I talked to so-and-so, and they told me that I could not open, or that I couldn't open because even though I was now carrying certain products that would, personal protection, that because I did it after the fact that I still couldn't open. And I explained this to Mark too.
Is the health department saying that?
Yeah. So it's important, like, you know, asking you, Carl, if you could call Ollie and tell him about some of the things. I think he thinks that I'm being, you know, overly dramatic, or sometimes that, you know, because I'm the only one feeding him this stuff. And he goes, he always wants to, well, Who? Where? What date was this? And I, you know, a lot of people don't wanna tell me, I tell them, because they don't want the health department then to come back on them and, maybe be harder on them.
Sounds like the health department needs an image redo, because they're looking like the bad guy more and more as we talk about this.
Well, they got thrust into the limelight by this, by no fault of
No.
their own.
Sure, but I mean, you gotta know, it's like Michael Phelps, you gotta stay in your lane, you know?
Well, one of the things that we're trying to do is have a consistent message. You can't have 3 different people giving 3 different messages. And that was part of the meeting this morning, and part of our meeting yesterday, and meeting with the state's attorney and law enforcement, was to make sure that, and the health department, to make sure everybody's on the same game page. Because you can't be saying one thing or have a loose cannon out saying whatever they want, and that's been part of the problem. And quite frankly, that's why they've got some issues online. They've got some personnel that,
So as far as the health department, like the employees that are answering the phones, was there a script put in place for them on how to answer these?
I have no idea. That's what Ollie's checking
All
into.
these things are important.
See, they've got,
I mean, a state script, is that what you're saying, or?
no,
So when a retailer, a clothing
Like this.
sales
Okay.
business calls and says, hey, what about this? They have a script to tell them exactly what we want said, right? Hey, the governor's order is this, our department doesn't necessarily apply to you. However, we have put out guidelines for restaurants which are under our purview that say that as long as, if you choose not to follow these orders, make sure that you're following social distancing, masking, all of those things, right? So obviously that's not a perfect script, but one should be in place to when they're questioned with that, it's not somebody just going, well, here's what I think, we don't need that.
right.
We need
And that's what I'm saying.
consistent messaging throughout, and that should be, whether it's a call, even if it's to the police department or to Augie's office or whatever it is, there should be the party line as far as what we are doing and what we expect. And if we're not doing that, that's something we can fix.
I called 2 or 3 times yesterday trying to get a hold of Janet, and they changed their system now to give you extension numbers if you need to know something about the bar's requirements and open and so forth, so you call this extension, so you got like 6 extensions to call, so in a way you don't know which one to call.
It's easy, give them
So
all
let's try
6
them all.
scripts.
Try them all.
Nope, just answer the phone, if they have a question about this, they read them the script. Easy enough.
That's kinda hard to get a hold of somebody to talk to.
Well, actually, they've got, Marissa's handling environmental. She's, and then they've got
Right.
the
Monica has a job too, so.
Okay. They have an epidemiology nurse that handles communicable diseases, and then Monica's handling businesses
Mhm.
that aren't restaurants.
Right.
Okay? And that's how it's supposed to be divided. So, at any rate,
But regardless, whoever answers the phone ought to have the set answer
Right.
to the common questions.
Or know who to refer them to.
yes?
For those businesses that are outside of the restaurants or the salons or the purview of typically what the health department deals with, there are CDC guidelines, so now we're on the federal level, above our governor, that pretty much for any industry, any type of business that you're doing, there's a fairly specific set of CDC guidelines that I think would be a safe harbor for a business in Edgar County that was looking to open safely and responsibly. What they should do, I think they could look to the CDC, and maybe that's something that could be communicated, either by the board or the health department somehow on a more local level to get people to understand that that resource is there. You can click on it, you can read it to your heart's content, you can print it out, and I would say you could rely upon it as a good faith effort to make compliance under these circumstances.
That's a good point.
Thank you. This whole thing it's evolving every day. It's hard to know where we're gonna wind up on Friday. I mean, this is probably the most critical time we're going through as a state is today, tomorrow, and Friday. What do you wanna do, guys?
I mean, I think we're pretty much in agreement as far as our position. It's, again, it's the issue of communication. So we
Right.
need to be leaning on Ollie and all of those that are, taking these calls to get things out. Use our assets as far as Prairie Press, Chrisman Leader, any other paper that we think is even remotely associated with this, and put that position out there, right? And so, that takes us back, again, I worry again about those places, the retail, that, it's harder to get a message out if they're not on that, line of communication, but that's our best bet, so. I don't know, obviously this is a public meeting, we're being recorded, our position is known as far as that goes. If there's some way to make a statement there that we can put out, I'm not opposed to it, but I don't know what that would be and what that would look like.
John?
No, I'm just scratching my ear. Dan's got his finger.
You're
I know, but I'd rather call on you.
I can comment on something if you want.
You keep feeding me these straight lines and I'm gonna go for it.
Hey,
Yes, Dan.
That hurt. You ever ask for the results of our meeting? You actually put something in the paper? I think you did one time, didn't you? And did you ever get the results? Or
The only time I tried to get anything out of the health department was when I was wanting to get
yeah, I remember
the restaurant reports.
that. No, yeah,
They told me I have to FOIA it to get it, and that makes no sense.
Really?
Yes.
yeah, I remember
You ask
that.
Augie, don't you just give
I
it?
remember that.
And
There are a
Janet
lot
told
of
me that
times
was
I
the
just hand
decision
it
on
to
the
them.
part of her board, that we
Yeah,
had
you
to
just-
FOIA to get that information.
No, that's not true. That never came up.
Yeah,
Well, that's an issue I will deal with,
that's another
but
issue.
yes.
but, yeah.
So,
Now, I remember that.
I think
remember
you'd
you
be-
asked for something, I couldn't remember what it was.
I think you'd be well advised if you were gonna call somebody is all. Okay, that's my own opinion.
Yeah, now that they've changed how they show how restaurants are scoring, I'm not concerned about getting the reports anymore, because it's right on the door when you go in.
It's a little bit different too, the way they put the results out. It's not like Indiana does where they have points or something like that. They don't do that over here.
Andy,
I got a sheet right here. It
good
has
luck.
6 restaurants on it or something like that.
I guess it baffles me. The purpose of a lot of these, the institution of the executive order and orders all across the country were to flatten the curve, correct? Wasn't that the purpose of this?
Yeah.
We
So
have
that we didn't overwhelm our
What curve
systems.
are we flattening here? And number two, on that same subject, I have friends that own restaurants in Indiana. They're inundated with people from Illinois.
Yeah.
yeah.
That from an economic standpoint, everything's going to Indiana. From a health standpoint, we have no cases here. We've all kind of stayed here in town and sheltered down here. We're heading across the border to a place that does have
I
cases.
got my haircut there.
I think it's more unhealthy to not open up, considering 20 miles away they're opening up and everybody's going over there, than it is to keep this order as it is. So economically and health-wise, I think it is a detriment to southern Illinois.
And
to
then we
central
got
and
the
southern
governor
Central.
saying he's not gonna, even if somebody's in great shape, he's not gonna consider us singly. He's gonna handle us by region.
And I understand that, and I don't think he's aware of the danger
No.
that's actually presented by such actions. So that's my statement. I think it's more.
John?
Can I summarize?
Yeah.
Just to see if I've got. Basically, the point is the county board were agreeing to pass off making any kind of statement and policy to the public health office, which is logical, they should be dealing with it, that's why they're the Edgar County Health Department. And Ollie, as chairman of the board, has agreed to try to come up with a more unified and open statement to make to the citizens of this county on how we're proceeding at this point.
We just need to magnify or whatever and get that out communication wise to as many people as we can. And that's our big issue. I think when I talk to Ollie later on today, I need to tell him or ask him to put it on the website, the county and the even the watchdogs, well, I mean, they have,
They get read more than our website.
yeah, yeah, they got us 15,000 hits last week.
Well, they filmed everything this
Right.
morning, so it is on the website.
But even on the health department website, they need to have it on there. Our website, any website they can have. I know Gary will have it on his website. So I know that's probably not everything that everybody wants, but I don't know what our, yes, Dan.
One other thing that I brought up is, citywide testing, countywide testing. All of a
Yes.
sudden, next week, we're gonna start doing that, so probably our numbers may go from 0 to something more positive, because, I don't know how it's gonna work.
Well, the more you test, the more,
Champaign doing it, Brazil, Indiana's starting to do it, so I asked them, I assume they're gonna start doing it here next week.
Does that
So
start
if you wanna
today?
test, you have to meet certain qualifications or certain.
Set the
things
blood
like-
test?
I'm 78 years old, I'll probably get a test.
I
I
will,
doubt they'll give me a test.
They
Yes,
don't
sir.
wanna know what I have,
Right,
Dan.
right.
They don't care.
go ahead.
I will say, we started, right now, starting at 10 o'clock, we're doing drive-through antibody testing. So we'll be doing it today, and again, June 3rd, for anybody, it's for anybody who wants to get antibody
To
tested.
find out if you've had it.
To find out if you've had it, correct.
Well, I may
Yeah,
do that
certain
myself.
criteria, is that correct?
You
Like,
can't
can I
be,
get-
you
can
can't
I
be
get a
actively
test?
sick, but if you've had symptoms in the past, this is for you. But it's for anybody that wants to drive through and get tested. It is a blood draw. We're doing one, like I said, we're doing one today and one June 3rd.
You had to have had some type of symptom.
They're gonna ask you.
It's preferred, I mean, it's really for anybody. I mean, if you want tested, by all means, but they prefer you have been sick at some point to have a reason to be tested.
I had heard that the hospital was going back to full staffing, the people that have been working at home are back and gonna be at work. if not
All
soon.
service lines are open. We are ramping back up to,
I think that's an important
Full staff.
signal for people to see that Horizon Health has brought their people back to the workplace, obviously safely and doing all of that, but I think that does send some sort of a sign to people that are gonna wander as to what to do.
I wanna have a procedure, so that I can get that now, like scope or something like that.
so all service lines are fully open.
In fact, they're even allowing, under certain circumstances, visitors to patients in the hospital.
This coming week, the clinic side will be open for visitors. They will, everyone still have to be screened upon arrival, but we are gonna allow visitors back in the facility.
So Dan will be able to schedule his calf implants in the very
Well,
near future.
Every
I'm
day.
78 falling apart, I need a test.
I'll test you.
Yes, Carl?
We have a study session Monday.
Yes.
No, you don't.
Oh, no, it's Tuesday.
Okay.
It's Tuesday.
That's because Monday's holiday.
So why don't we, see what comes from this, everything that's supposed to happen the next 2 or 3 days up at the Springfield. See if the health department can get some type of statement out. And then come Tuesday, look at everything, see where we're at. And at that point in time, if we don't feel that stuff is going the right way, maybe we want to make some type of statement.
That's fine.
Sounds good to me.
Assess everything.
Everybody good with that?
Well, the other thing would be if you're doing a lot of testing, maybe the paper can get the results of the testing, and that way we know something about if we have more positive in Edgar County now than what we don't have. At least we would know what's going on.
So this
Carl, did
testing
you wanna
will-
finish?
Doesn't test for active, it'll test for, if you've got the antibodies, it won't test for active COVID.
Okay, so it's not the antigen test.
This is the antibody test to see if your body's developed antibody, if you've had the virus in the test and your body's built a certain amount of immunity, this tests for the antibody.
Does the hospital have the antigen test? I have to see if you have.
That is the antigen test.
So we send these, we contract with LabCorp, so these will be sent up to LabCorp for a return in 3 to 5 days, and you will be notified of the results.
Can I interrupt you guys for a minute? Carl, were you done talking?
Yes.
All right.
You, essential employees have been having this done prior to today, correct, son?
No, we've,
No.
say this antibody testing is brand new, so within the past, we just got them the past week, and then we've immediately opened it to,
Have you got a lot of tests?
we've got a lot of tests.
The beauty of the antibody test is the rumors and supposition that it went through Edgar County months ago before it came, and, who knows the answer to that, but this should provide the answer.
Do you have the antigen test, which actually shows that you have the condition or?
No.
That's what I'm
So,
wondering.
you're talking about the nasal swabs, that's,
Yeah, where
they'll find
it
out.
actually shows if you have it. Not
Yes,
if you have it.
we can test for active COVID as well,
Okay.
via nasal swab.
It takes longer, right?
About a
That's
day,
still-
Dan,
that's still
about a day.
5 days.
Pardon?
It takes a day.
Well,
They're turning it
I'm just
around.
saying there's a difference between an antibody test and antigen
Well,
test, that's what I'm asking.
No, there is not. You've got your nomenclature all wrong.
If we send it off to the,
Between an
send it
antigen
off
test
to
and
the we'll get it
antibody.
back in 1 or 2 days, if we send it off to lab.
You know that too, right? I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
we're gonna need a special meeting, if we choose to issue
I don't know
a
what
public
the-
statement. So do we need to schedule that, as a precursor, or?
You're right, Dan.
Cover us, right?
In other words, for the Monday's meeting. you
And
want-
then I-
we can put
Tuesday.
that- Or Tuesday. We can put that on there, not active, not necessary.
Right.
Or active, necessary.
Right. Maybe just have it immediately, I don't know, can we do that immediately following the study session, a special meeting?
Or can you do it?
Yeah, because we could actually make the statement and include what the health department's doing in our statement.
Now, is that something we're gonna have something ginned up ahead of time, or at least close to the?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna have to have something, but we've got to take care in how we word it. We probably should have the state's attorney look at it. I know you don't want to, but he has very strong feelings about it. And liability, and our insurance companies also sent us stuff that says that if we go beyond certain
Yeah.
things, we have no coverage.
So,
I'm just,
that's fine, who knows what we will eventually say, and it'll all be based on what we come up with, what we discuss in the study session, but probably good to have a template ahead of time so we can act on it, so.
so do you wanna attach a special meeting at 9 o'clock to the, cause our meeting's at 9:30, so.
Are we gonna be able to do that?
Why don't we attach a special
Or do you
meeting
wanna have a meeting
after?
first?
Yeah.
I think we
Say
better go
10:30.
have the meeting first and then follow.
10:30?
Yeah.
It's optimistic.
Well, we can discuss it at our regular meeting and
We'll have
then,
the plan. I'm
then
just
act
saying
upon it
10:30
at,
is optimistic,
at
we'll
the-
be done talking by then, but that's fine.
anything else?
So you're gonna have a study session like it's normally planned.
Right.
And then
and-
following that is a special board meeting, if you need it.
Well, we'll have it scheduled and if we don't, we'll just say,
And you're rolling with 10:30?
that's what we're saying.
Okay, I just wanna make sure I got it all.
Hear that, Dan? Study session's gotta stay an hour long, no more.
Well, we can always have a meeting,
They may kick me out.
if we schedule it at 10:30, we can always have it at 11,
Okay.
but we can't do vice versa.
Right.
Anything else to come before the meeting this morning? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Derek moves, Andy seconds, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Dan, they run tests every day, regular tests, swab tests.
The antigen
They
test.
come back, are they antigen